There we go. Sorry about that. Alright, we back. Technical delay. It's really hot out here. The iPhone's heating up a little bit. And being down here at the stone quarry that we got going on is dropped our signal down a bar. So that might be why it froze up. Might be because of the heat on the iPhone. I'm not sure. But thank you guys for hanging there with me. Sorry about that technical delay. So what I ran into here is I got two massive stone slabs back there that need prying out. I'm gonna get them pried out. I'm gonna take you guys back up top of the hill there and set you up there. Make sure that we keep the stream going as best we can. Like I said, sorry about that delay. Hopefully everybody comes back and hangs out with us a little bit more. We're almost done with the stone floor, and then we can move on to some other shit. Oh, it's hot as hell. I'm gonna have to be taking a break here soon. I know me, and I know when I start getting overheated, so we're just gonna sit up here for a second. Make sure our stream keeps going good. Sitting on a stone floor inside of our cabin right now. I'm just gonna send this out on Twitter right quick. Get one more just shared out. The more we get this shared out, the more people get to come in here and enjoy this bit of fun we're having. Yeah, there was a lot of cussing going on. You know how I am. I'm a dick, even to myself. So, thanks for coming back here. Man, I got that last corner to do and this thing's done. Pretty good workload. I just wish the sun glare would cooperate with us a little bit better than what it is, but it just don't want to. It's just that time of day. But we got us a glowing stone floor here. I don't know if I'm going to be pulling those two big fucking massive boulders out or not. If I did, it'd fill in that corner with 2 swipes, but I don't want to fucking break my back trying to get them out either. They're buried deep and they're just so damn big. I might have to bust them up if I want to use them. Obviously, I'm going to use them eventually. I just don't know if I want to bust them up right now. If not, I had to go treasure hunting for a couple more stones. Getting close to the edge of the plot, I'm thinking. I don't know how big this damn structure down here was. We're just recycling stone from a old homestead or something, whatever the fuck they had built down here back in the day. Probably when this woods was a baby. Alright. We sit up back here. Holy shit, look at that. Even more glare. Looks like I'm in heaven. Alright, so we'll see if a few other people come back to continue this live stream with us. And now go ahead and pry up that stone while we're waiting and get it up here. That way we can move on to something different. Anybody else come back? No? Well, shit. The stream? You want to go see the stream real quick? We're waiting for people to come back, if they come back. I only see one of you in here right now. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I could use a cool off anyway. There we are. There's probably no way I could get them on film, but I got a cluster of butterflies and dragonflies flying over top of the creek down there, right at the corner. I'll go down there and disturb them too. They're just hovering over top of the water. Thank you, Ranger. Obviously, my window's not updating, so I can't see. The numbers aren't right, apparently. But I appreciate everybody for coming along. We only got a couple more stones to pry up and get up into our build, and the floor will be set. We can start pulling the blue shale out of the creek to fill in the cracks. And hopefully, by the time we get that done, the sun has moved at a little bit better angle, and y'all can see this thing. It is a nice floor. I don't know how well we'll be able to make it out, but she's happening. I don't even know if we could go to the back of the structure. I think the sun's just going to glare off it no matter how what angle we're filming from. It's just that damn time of day. So we'll try to take a look around here, see if we can get down a little bit lower and see it. And no, it still glares out. All right, Dixie, thanks for stopping by, sweetheart. Yeah, just the time of day, guys. Looky here, though. How's that? We brought those flowers in here. Got them growing all through the meadow and right up here by the shelter. They were established this year. Next year, they'll help stop erosion, especially around the structure. Yeah, I wish I could get a better angle where it's not so glary. But this is what we got. Mother Nature is not our friend today. I might be busting out the axe here. See if we can break up some more of that stone. Floor's almost done. I mean, it is right here at the front of the structure already. That's good, no glare? Cool. I see a little bit of glare back there in the back, but that's fine. Y'all know how this live streaming shit works, right? So we got the stone floor done all the way up to the front of the structure, except for one little corner there, and then it's got to be smaller stones as far as the front wall goes. Just because the size of the structure is different than the size of the stone that I'm hauling. That down there was fitted to a specific diameter, or a specific square, and my square's smaller, so I'm going to have to break up that last row in order to fit it in right. I really don't mind too much, because I could always build this front wall and the door on top of the stone. That way the bottom don't rot out so fast. Could do that. And then I just sort of have this on the outside. Once the wall's up there, it would just look like a foundation border, right? So I really don't mind if it's jutting out a little bit, but I do want that to be straight going all the way across. Getting a little low on the wine. Whew, guys. I really want to get this done for you. I want to get this stone floor wrapped up and show you how I tend to, or how I'm planning on hauling that damn blue shale from down there. Start filling in some of these cracks so we can get that caught on the stream too. Yeah, you know this side over here has sort of dropping. I'm going to have to raise that up where it's level. Now, what I did notice as far as the original structure down there that I'm digging up, they had gravel underneath these flat stones. So yeah, I could probably set up on gravel and you know, have that gravel leveled out, and then the floor's all nice and level on the inside. But I'm not looking for perfect. I don't want it perfect. These stones will settle. Their weight will settle to where they're relatively flat, and putting the shale in between the cracks is going to allow for some movement in the stones. It'll be, you know, the stones will be able to shift with the weather or with the changing seasons. Like ice can form in between them in the wintertime, or as the ground freezes, it'll bring them apart, and with the spring fall, it'll bring them back together. The floor itself will be like a living thing. It'll be able to move around inside the shelter. You want some movement in your shelter. You don't want it like rock hard. And that just allows for temperature changes, humidity changes, all of that shit. It's got to be able to move and breathe. So yeah, whenever you're building something like this, especially in an environment like this, you don't want it rock hard where there's no shift in it at all, because the damn thing's just going to crack on you. It'll break. It's just like a tree in the wind. It's got to be able to bend or it's going to snap. So yeah, I really want to get this last little section done. I do have a couple of big chunks I need to put over there, and then I'm just bringing it up to these two beams here. Yeah, Mother Nature will play a big role in the stones. She'll be doing just as much work to these stones as I do. Once they're in here, I'm going to have to let this floor settle a little bit, but the floor can settle while we're putting the rest of the structure together, you know, cutting the wood and getting the walls on. That back wall, that back section, that first section of wall, I actually wanted to bring stone up from the creek and have up to that beam be stone. So it's a whole fire reflector going across there for the fireplace. And then the fireplace cut out right at the center of it. And then wood going up from there. So I got some thinking to do on that, how to put that together right. I'm going to be trying to do that over the next couple of days. I don't think we're going to get the back wall done today. We'll get the floor done. And we'll get the shale hauled up here. Whether we do that on the live stream or not, I don't know. We might wait till the next live stream to bring the shale in. Depends on how long you guys want to hang out and how things hold up. We already froze up once. I don't want you guys getting irritated with the chat freezing or something like that. And obviously my stats aren't updating. I don't know how many people's in here. I'm showing 1 with 9 likes. So that's what I got on my end. But that's just the technical aspect of live streaming from the middle of fucking nowhere. Things don't update very quickly. Anyway, I'm gonna go down there. 9 people. Thank you. And thanks to all that's hanging out with me for this. I'm gonna go ahead and get down there and get these last bit of stones. It's annoying me. I don't like stopping until the job's done. I guess that's what part of my work ethic is. What's make me good for my employers, but obviously that didn't help me out too much whenever I was in there arguing for my job a couple weeks ago. So yeah, I really want to get this last bit of stone hauled up here, and then even if I don't put the smaller stones in for this front lining, we'll go ahead and start getting some of that blue shale down there up here, and then we'll take that blue shale, fill in some of the cracks so you guys can see that. And like I said, hopefully by the time we get to that point, the sun's changed angles a little bit, and you'll be able to actually see what the fuck I'm doing. Alright, so let me go grab a couple more stones and I'll be back with you. Since we went live again, please, one more time, send this out on social media, let everybody know you're watching. Alright, let's get back to work. A couple more. Alright guys, I need to apologize for delay on bringing that stone up. I'll show you why there was a delay here in a moment. That was not easy. So, let me take you down here and show you what the hell I just did that I did not catch on the live stream, but I wish I caught it on live stream. All I got for you is the end result. This big son of a bitch. Look at this. That's what I just pried up out of the ground. I pried that up out of the ground. I ain't gonna be picking that up and hauling it up to the camp. That's some good stone though. That is a beast. That thing weighs 10 times more than I do. Whew. Let's see if we can crack it. I don't even know if this is gonna work. Oh, I made a bit of a racket. Old huntsman's axe, buddy. This is a mythical item right here. That thing can take some shock. Y'all ever see an axe do that? Whew. Yep. I'm gonna be going back through this live stream and playing that one back in slow-mo. That's a pretty cool deal. Alright. That one there pretty much filled us in. The only thing we got now is one more stone for the one corner, and the rest of it's pretty well good to go. Yeah, the mythical huntsman's axe. That's a Viking axe right there. Look at that. We got the name on one side, and then on the other, that says Hunter and Nordic Runes. Pretty cool, huh? Odin's Raven there on the end. Odin right there on the front. I love this. It's like Thor's hammer. Alright, so there's a pretty good view of the stone floor. Again, we got some small stones down there that we can use to fill in, like this bigger section here. And we got a section over here that we can put them smaller stones in. And then other than that, and putting a larger stone here in this one corner, it's just filling in all of these cracks with light blue, powder blue shale. So we get that blue in there, and we have sort of a mosaic floor inside the shelter. So I'll grab a couple of the smaller stones, and then we'll go ahead and rig up something for us to haul some of this shale out of the creek. So let me get to that real quick. We're just gonna set the hammer right there front and center. Y'all can take a look at that while I get this last bit of stone up here. These here are some of the rocks that I just busted off of that big chunk with the axe. So we'll use these as some of our filler pieces. It's sort of like working a puzzle right now, just filling in gaps. Closing it in enough to bring in that shell. Actually, I don't like that ledge. Beautiful. Not too shabby. Whew. It's break time. We're gonna hang out and chat for a little bit, because Daddy needs a break. I'll be right back though. That is fucking awesome. Sorry about the live stream hiccups, guys. It is what it is. Hopefully after the video processes, you know, after the live stream's done and it goes through processing and everything, everything's cool. But what's probably happening, and I can see if I can adjust where I can get some more airflow behind the iPhone, because the iPhone's overheating is what it is. There we go. I give a little bit more air behind it. I don't know, guys. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to stream in this heat. We did get the job, like the task that we wanted to get done, we did get done. We did get the stone floor put in the structure. That's all the way up to the front now. So, whew, that was a bit of work. And we have been going at it for what, a little over an hour and a half now, minus the interruption. So we're doing okay as far as the wilderness live streams, I hope. But yeah, like I was saying there, hopefully after the video processes, so folks coming in after the stream is over and YouTube processes it into HD, it'll correct that audio issue if there is a lag in the audio. We'll try to cool the iPhone down a little bit. If nothing else, guys, what I'll do is I'll end the live stream for a little while, and we'll come back in about an hour after the iPhone cools down a little bit or something like that. If we have too many more issues. Yeah, not too bad for the flooring. But we still got a lot of work to do on the structure. I know we're kind of dragging this build out a little bit. This build could have been done in a week if I wanted to do it like that, but I didn't. I did have the 2-month hiatus, that little bit of break there, and then whenever we came back, we was off doing other shit. We didn't just come back to this. We're mixing it up a little bit. So what I'm intending to do as far as getting taking the shale out of the creek is I gotta find me a piece of bark or a hollowed out log or something like that, and I'm just gonna make a small basket type deal, just, you know, the curve, like a half round. We'll fill it in and just carry it up here just like a basket, and then just dump it on the floor. It don't have to be, you know, sprinkled in between the cracks. Just bring the basket up, dump it on the floor, and then basically just clean the stone off, and it's going to drop down into the cracks that way. So it don't have to be fancy. You want to be sloppy with it. That shale, whenever you start leveling it out, it'll fall down in the cracks where it needs to go. And then after the floor settles, obviously I'm gonna have to bring a couple more loads up and just keep leveling it out until we have, you know, a good floor. But we did get some highlights in with putting this floor in, right? I mean, I just pulled a big fucking boulder up out of the ground and busted it up with the old huntsman's axe like it wasn't nothing. We made a hell of a racket doing that, though. It sounded like thunder echoing through the woods. All these valleys and everything carry sound really well. So yeah, we got progress on the structure today. We got a stone floor inside. of our bushcraft build in just over an hour, minus filling in the cracks. Now she's got to settle a lot. I mean, it's uneven as shit right now. Got a lot of gaps to fill in, shit like that, but that's all detail work. And that's kind of lightweight compared to what we just did. I am going to end up having to clean up my axe though. Look at that. Busting that up. Now that ain't damage to the axe, it's just stone dust in there. I just got to wash it off. We're going to give the axe some tender love and care tonight. I did, it looks like I nicked the wood a little bit. So I had to touch that up with stain and fix the carving right there. Which I just carved this out with a Dremel. So the lines are still there. I can always repair it. And I do that every once in a while because, you know, wear and tear on these things, they tend to fade out a little bit. So I'll just take the Dremel, I'll recarve everything. Whenever I'm sitting there at the house doing shit, I'll just sit down with my axe, I'll recarve everything, put a fresh coat of stain on it, fresh coat of wax, and keep it looking pretty. When you're not out, when I'm not out in the woods, I'm always maintaining my gear somehow or another. We did bring another toy out here today. My last live stream when I was talking about bushcraft gear, I never thought that I was going to use this damn thing. But I brought this down here today because after the stream, I'm probably going to go in there and clear, cut trails out of the meadow. And I'm going to get some of the wood processed up for our next live stream where we'll be putting more of the... I smell a fucking deer again. We'll be putting more of the walls on. God damn, you stinking son of a bitch. I ain't got deers up there pissing at the top of the ridge. But yeah, I brought this son of a bitch out today to clear out the paths in the meadow. I can go over there and I can cut down all those high weeds and get our path in the meadow all cut out. And I want to cut a circle out. A great big fucking circle around our stone column over there that we got over there. That's where I'm going to be setting up the trail cam, and that's where I'm going to be putting in my corn and mineral site and all the stuff for the deer inside this big circle in the meadow. Then I can go up there on that ridge, and I can sit up there on the top of the ridge with my camera, my video camera, and I can try to film the deer coming into camp. And I also want to try this saw edge out. So while I'm processing the wood up, I got my regular folding saw with me, but I'm actually going to try the saw edge on this machete and see how that saw edge works. As a matter of fact, why don't we just do that fucking right now? I got a little bit of wood over here. Let's see how this damn thing cuts right here on the live stream. It's my first time ever using it. I don't know if it's going to work or not. Let's bring you on around here. Like I said, I don't know if the saw edge on this machete is actually going to fucking cut this shit like my regular saw does, but we'll try it out. I mean, it's a saw edge. It ought to work, right? So, I don't often do this in my live streams. I don't often do this in any of my fucking videos, which is wood processing. It's the most boring B-roll fucking footage you could ever fucking do. But we're gonna go ahead and get some wood processing into this sumbitch, because why not? We're doing everything out of the ordinary today anyway. I mean, we just put a stone floor inside of a fucking A-frame bushcraft build. Might as well go ahead and do some TA outdoor style wood processing. So let's see how this thing cuts. Well, she does cut. I mean, I got down an inch just there in a few seconds. It does cut. but it doesn't cut as quickly, or it doesn't bite in as much as my regular saw does. And because of the way the grip is, it's uncomfortable as shit. So I suppose, like in an emergency situation, you could probably use that if you didn't want to carry a machete, a machete and a saw. They kind of combine the two. But I am noticing that already a couple of those teeth are kind of gumming up a little bit. I don't think it's affecting it too much. But yeah, she cuts. She just doesn't cut as good as my folder, and it's uncomfortable. It doesn't have the finger grip on the top side there, so it's good for using as a machete because it fits right in your hand. But whenever you turn it over to use the saw edge, you don't have that grip for your fingertips, and having these bumps up here at the palm of your hand make it uncomfortable as shit. So yeah, in an emergency situation, I might use this sumbitch, but I don't know. Edge don't cut into the wood very easy either. Look at that. I'm getting a cut, but it don't stick. My knife sticks. So, first time testing this out. Knife might be good for cutting down weeds or something like that, but processing wood, not recommended. So, yeah, I mean, if you was processing up smaller diameter than that, I didn't want to do a sissy stick. But, yeah, I'd give it like a D for the saw edge. It does have a sharp edge to it, but I don't think that it, obviously a machete's not meant for cutting into wood. Saw edge, emergency situation or something small diameter, if you're just trying to build a campfire or something like that, not process up big wood, that'd be all right. Other than that, it's just a weed whacker. So I would not go out and buy a machete with a saw edge on it if you actually want to saw wood. If you want to have a backup saw, like an emergency saw, just to process up some little twigs or something like that, that's one thing. But not something that you want to use as an everyday carry, especially if you live in an area like mine where this, aside from cutting down weeds, you really don't need a fucking machete. I just brought it out because some of that stuff over there is taller than I am, and I need to get that area cleared out just for filming the deer. Hot. And I'm starting to feel the effects of dehydration a little bit. We burn up a lot of calories out here already today. I'm gonna be hungry as hell by the time I get home. That's alright. So yeah, first test run of the old machete. I wouldn't buy it. I got it as a Christmas present. I wouldn't buy the damn thing. I'd never buy a machete. Just don't need it. My stepdad though, what was that? Yeah, I mean, it cut into it. It did cut into it. I just did a few strokes there and it cut in about an inch. If I would have kept going, I would have cut right through it. But it's just uncomfortable. And whenever I'm cutting wood or I'm using something that's got an edge to it, even if it's something like this and I didn't sharpen it myself, I want to be comfortable while I'm using it. I don't want my hand slipping off of that grip just because I'm not used to it in my hand and cutting myself or something like that. So, yeah, I wouldn't go out and buy a machete anyway. I'm a knife guy. And my little folding saw does me well. I don't need anything other than that. My folding saw was like $6. But story about a machete. My stepdad, before I met him, I heard stories about my stepdad. He used to drive around with a machete in his truck, and we heard about him pulling that machete on a couple of guys during a bar fight, or somebody messing with his boy or something like that. He whipped that machete out to scare the fuck out of whoever was fucking around with him. Yeah, whenever we was growing up, there was these myths all over the fucking county about my stepdad. And if you meet him, he's the most fucking polite guy you'd ever hope to meet. Any of you guys in the chat, if you ever met my stepdad, he'd talk to you like he's known you your entire life. That's just the type of guy he is. Real laid back, doesn't get mad over anything, and even whenever he does get mad, he don't show it. He's that kind of calm, cool, and collected, angry, the dangerous type. Anyway, yeah, machete, not recommended. Don't go out and buy a saw edge machete. Unless you want to scare off little kids that are fucking with your kid. Then it might work. Yeah, so I got to start looking around here and see what I can do about making up a basket. Start carrying some of the shell. We're going to take a walk here real quick, guys. I don't know how well this is going to go, but we'll try. California traffic. California traffic's mythical too. So let's go down here. I do have an old stump down here I might be able to use. I just need a big piece of bark that's got some thickness to it, or a hollowed out log. And I've been through this area a million fucking times, you know, landscaping it and doing all the shit that I've done to it. And I don't remember seeing much except for this one up here. And I don't know how well it'll work. I'll see you guys down here real quick. Try to show you what the hell I'm doing. So I got this rotted out log here that I might be able to use for a half round to bring up some of that blue shale. We're basically going to turn this into a basket, I'm thinking. Yeah. Give me one sec, guys. I gotta run up there real quick and grab the old axe so I can cut this out and I don't break it where I don't want it broke. I'll be right back. Alright, so when it comes to making one of these half-round baskets, you really don't need anything too long or too big. Once I put the shell in there, it's going to have a little bit of weight to it. So, and I do have to haul it a lot further than I was hauling those big flat stones for the floor. So I just need something small so I can throw the gravel in there and haul it up there. It's better than just folding up your shirt, you know. Just like that. That's pretty much all we need to throw some shell in and haul up here. Don't need nothing much bigger than that, I don't think. Bonus is that's a little bit better. Bonus is this is a red oak, so even rotted out, she's still got a little stability to her. Yeah, that's all we need to haul up some stone, right? Just like that. Use it as a basket. We can clean it up and make it pretty later. Right now, we'll get up there and try to haul us some stone. Hey, Sal. So we got our basket made. Now I just gotta haul you guys back up to camp. We're gonna try something a little bit different. Before we start hauling the loose gravel up, I do have some bigger chunks down there that I can bring up and just smash them in. So we're gonna try that first. Set you guys back up the right way there. At least the sun changed, right? So there's our structure and our stone floor. Looking good. A lot of work today. I'm gonna go grab one of those bigger chunks of this shale. We'll see if the magic powers in the old huntsman's axe can bust it up like it busted up this stone floor and fill in some of these cracks. I'll be right back, guys. Alright, so here's our blue shale and we're going to try to drop in here. But as you can see, this is just to fill in the cracks. And we have this big chunk here we're going to try to break up with the old magical axe and see if we can drop it down into the cracks rather than hauling the gravel up here basket by basket. So we'll try this out first. Chances are it's going to be a little bit too much, so we'll just be going down there grabbing gravel in the basket and filling in the cracks. It'll be faster, but this is going to look cool, so we're going to do it anyway. You see that contrast there between the dark stone that I pulled out of the forest floor and the blue shale? That's why I want to have this blue shale in the cracks. It's going to light up this floor. And then whenever I have my LED light up there, as I was saying at the beginning of the stream, that LED is going to reflect off of this blue shale and the floor is going to glow. So I get light from two sources, one light. So processing like this would probably be good for filling in the larger gaps with some bigger chunks. But as far as having it fit right, it's going to be easier getting much smaller gravel. And you don't have the grounding pound. We know the axe will break it up though, if need be. Is that axe abuse? I'll bet you that's making some people out there cringe about as much as batoning a knife through a piece of wood. The other benefit to not having the roof done on this yet is if we get this part done and it does happen to rain, it's going to wash all of this stone off, so it's going to polish the floor up a little bit the first time it rains. So not having the roof completely done is actually going to help it settle, because water will be able to get down to it and shift it around a little bit. Is going to wash it off. We should have some nice polished stone the next time we come back out here. Doing the roof, that was not my priority whenever I started this project. My priority was I was kind of doing a step-by-step thing and dragging it out some. Once the A-frame is up, I really don't need all of the wood on there. As far as the shelter goes, I could always just throw my tarp over the A-frame and still use it as a shelter. My 10x10 tarp pretty much cover this whole damn thing. So if I wanted to come out here and camp, I'd just throw the tarp over it, you know, and the wood processing, that's just whenever I want to fucking do it. That's one tip as far as, you know, your shelter goes. I was saying in my last live stream, whenever you're in a survival situation, you want the maximum amount for the least amount of effort. You don't want to burn up all your calories building a structure like this. This is what you do whenever you have plenty of water, plenty of food, plenty of time. This is what you do when you're fucking bored in a survival situation or a shit hit the fan situation or you're lost in the woods. You don't do this for survival. You do this to take up your day and keep yourself occupied. As far as survival goes, you want a quick shelter. You want something that goes up in 5-10 minutes. And then you do this after that temporary shelter is up. Do your temporary shelter, worry about that in a survival situation, and then you do your long-term shelters after you already got your ass covered. Alright, so that filled in a little bit. You guys can sort of see. I mean, it's half-assed, but we just brought a chunk up here and busted it up with a hammer. So the next trick is I'm going to use my basket here. Try to clean this out a little bit more on the inside where I got a little bit more of a curvature. Just knock out all that loose wood. It'll make the basket lighter for one. I don't want to cut down too deep because it's got to be able to support the damn weight. This is red oak though, so it can take a few knocks. But I'm just going to cut out this rotted wood on the inside, sort of polish out the round. This is like a quarter round, so knock some of that out, and it just gives me a little bit more room to carry a little bit more shale up here. Now, the shale that I'm going to be pulling out of the creek, obviously it's going to have other colors in it, because there's other colors of stone in the creek, and I'm not going to sit down there just trying to get blue and no other color. So I'll have speckles of other color inside this mosaic floor, but that's fine. And it should be polished stone too. There ain't going to be no sharp edges, so if I have my boots off or anything like that, this is river stone. I mean, it's smoothed out pebbles and shit. There ain't going to be no sharp edges on there to worry about getting cut on or anything. We're just scraping out the log there a little bit, knocking off some of that inside rot. And that'll keep some of that loose wood from getting mixed into the gravel. If you get a lot of loose wood mixed into your gravel, it might hold moisture inside your shelter, and you might get like a mold or a fungus or something like that growing in there, and you don't want that. So we just polish this off a little bit. And we have us a basket to carry some stone. So this is the part of the live stream that I never really wanted to do. I never wanted to take a lot of time away from the camera. All right, thank you, Pam. Appreciate it, sweetheart. I never wanted to take a lot of time away from the camera while I was doing this, which is why I come down and do a lot of the workload before I start streaming. So I'm not away from the camera, and you guys are just sitting here staring at basically a still image. But unfortunately, as far as hauling this stone up here, I don't want to haul a big pile of it up here and then just scoop it into the shelter when I could just go down there and grab it. And you know, it's going to be a few minutes each pass. So I'll go down there, I'll fill up, come back up here, and we'll dump it. We'll get a. It's not going to take much to fill in these cracks. Once I start hauling it up here, maybe, I don't know. I'll bet you we don't go over 10 hauls before we have enough of that up here to fill in the cracks. But I do have to go down the creek there a little way to grab it, haul it back up here. We'll fill in the cracks, we'll get them nice and level, and then you guys will get a better view of how this is going to look. So I'm just using quarter round log to haul the stone. I'll run down there, grab it real quick, and I will be right back. Alright guys, so here's my first load. That there weighs about, I don't know, maybe 10 pounds. So it's kind of a light load. But you can see the little bit different colors in there. And I do want some of the sand in there. That sand's just going to wash down into the bottom, help level things out a little bit. And the sand will actually concrete up after a while, so it'll help. So we got a nice little mix of primarily blue shale. We do have some other colors of stone in here, but all of it's going to reflect light really good. So this is what we want in our cracks. And then we just bring it up here and dump it in like that. Just dump it, like unceremoniously dump it, and then just kind of scrape off your top stones, pushing that stuff down into the cracks. Nothing fancy. Obviously, I'll have to, as this settles, I'll have to haul some more up here time and time again until it finally levels out. But that's pretty much it. Just keep doing that. That covered about a quarter of the floor. So you figure 4 or 5, maybe 6 more hauls and the entire floor is going to be done. That's going to take me a few minutes just to get it up here, but not too long. I'll have it done in 10 minutes. Looking better and better. I appreciate that, Ranger. And then after I get all of this done, then I would either wait for some rain to wash it all off. When it's all washed off, it's going to settle some. It's going to look a hell of a lot different. All of this stone's going to be cleaned up, so it's going to brighten it up quite a bit. Got some dust on the camera there. And it's going to help all that pack down. So after I got this part done, I would either haul water up here and dump on it, or just wait for it to rain and let the rain do the work for me. But it wouldn't be too hard to just bring water up from the creek and clean it all off. And then after it dries, these stones here might actually turn white after some wear and tear, after they start getting polished from walking on it and shit like that. But the point of it is to have these a little bit darker, the cracks a little bit lighter, so that's why we're using 2 different types of stone. Plus this stuff here is really brittle, so as it's moving, the floor shifting and settling, this stuff will break down and just help keep things packing, you know what I mean? So we figure we're going to try to have this done with 10 loads from the creek. So 10 loads, that ought to take us about maybe 10-15 minutes, and our entire floor will be done and ready to be polished. So I'm going to start hauling. I'll stop back here if I happen to get worn out or start getting too hot or winded, and keep you guys from getting too bored. But I'm just going to go through this process of hauling it up here, dumping it, smoothing it out, and we'll get this job done, all right? a train coming through the valley. Ooh, that one was messy. You guys notice I'm just sort of rubbing over the stone and just kind of letting it fall wherever it wants to fall. I'm just shifting it around by hand until it settles down a little bit. The rest of it will wash down into the cracks from the water. Take a little bit better look at it here. That's kind of what we're going for. It's unpolished, but you can sort of see the contrast. And like I said, this blue shell will reflect light at night, so it's going to be really awesome having this in the shelter. One, it's just easier to fit the stones this way. Two, it's just a backup light source. So she's coming along pretty decent, right? What do you guys think? Good idea, bad idea? Will give us a barrier of insulation in the wintertime. So if we're down here, we get a good fire roaring in the fireplace, so this stone will absorb that heat. It's not going to say that it's going to have a warm floor, but it will absorb the heat and knock down the permafrost underneath the shelter. So it'll actually, if these stones warm up enough and the fire's hot enough on the inside, in the wintertime it'll melt down that permafrost and it'll keep settling over winter. So a little bit of work, but we got progress. A couple more loads and we should have a pretty clear picture of what the overall floor is going to look like inside of the shelter. And then it's just a matter of getting that back wall back there filled in with stone. That's the other heavy lifting part. The rest of it's just cutting wood and putting it up. I don't think she's coming along too bad, but we've been at it 2.5 hours now. I doubt I can make a living on setting stone. I'm not really a stone guy. It just seemed like a good idea whenever I was trying to put all this together. We found a stone on accident. If I didn't find the stone, I probably would have put a wood floor in it. But this is actually coming along pretty cool. I like it. It's going to be a lot more comfortable having a stone floor in it than a wood floor. Especially if I plan on sleeping on the floor. Which I don't. I think I'm going to build a bed on the inside of it. Or have it rigged up where I can have the hammock strung up on the inside of it. I might do that too. I had an idea for just being able to string the hammock up on the inside of the shelter so I don't have to build a bed. Don't have to sleep on the floor, don't have to do anything like that. I can just sleep in the hammock inside the shelter. So, yeah, progress. Couple more hauls and yeah, that floor will be done. We can just let it settle for a couple of days. Let some rain come in and polish it off. I don't know when it's supposed to rain again though. Yeah, hammock's a good idea. Hammock's like a portable campsite. A lot of people don't like sleeping in them. I don't mind it. You get used to it. And I'll tell you what, if you're in a situation and you're tired enough, you don't give a damn where you're sleeping. As long as you're up off the ground, you're good. But a lot of the times I come out here, I just throw my bedroll out on the ground. And it doesn't bother me. I don't know why guys make such a big deal about that. Every fucking, you ever watch any fucking like period drama or Lord of the Rings or any fucking Game of Thrones or anything like that? You see soldiers out, knights out, travelers out. They just throw their bedroll on the fucking ground and right beside their campfire, and that was it. And while we were watching those movies as kids, man, that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to travel like that. We wanted to go out and, to the wilds and just throw a bedroll out and right in front of a campfire and sleep. And then we don't do that. And we have to have these bubbles of safety. We have to have the safe zone. We have to have the shelter. We have to have all this shit. We don't do it like they did it, where you're just setting up a bonfire, throw out your bedroll, lay down, and go to sleep. But that's what I do because I'm lazy and I don't want to put. I'm not going to invest a shit ton of time into a camp if I'm just spending the night somewhere, especially if I'm hiking. Like if I hike for a day, camp out overnight, and I'm going to pack up and hike the next day. No, camp's got to be up in 10 minutes with that fire going and my goddamn coffee on. I wish I had a cup of coffee now, but I didn't bring any with me. Alright, so let's see, what was that? 2 or 3 holes. I'll do a couple more and get the other side of the floor over there done, and then I'll try to get you guys up a little bit higher where we can get an overall view, kind of looking down on the shelter. We'll try that out. So let me go ahead and grab a couple more baskets of this. You guys hang out. We're going to go for a little bit longer after I get this stone hauled up here. The floor was the main priority for the day, and it's almost done. 3, 4, maybe 5 baskets more of stone in our floors in the shelter. That's where we're going to wrap up building for the day. Got some fine tuning to do on the edges that we can do in the next live stream. And we'll do that after we put the wood on, because I got to have my floor butted up against the walls. You know what I mean? So I have to have the walls on before I can fill in that gap between the stone floor and the wall. So we'll get the main floor done today. We'll get all the cracks filled in. We'll let this settle. The next time I come out, I might have to put a couple of more buckets on there because it's going to shift. It's going to settle down. So we'll just keep leveling that out like that. And then after we get the walls done, which is going to be our next big live stream, then we'll fill in the outer edge. That outer edge got to have a little bit of insulation to it. It's got to be a little bit heavier. It'll help support the base of the wall. It'll help keep the base of the walls, the wood part of the wall from rotting out. And it'll just give us that extra barrier of insulation from drafts if we have it kind of angled a little bit. So we want a little bit of extra stone on the outer edge. But that'll be it. Hey, Herb. So grab my basket here, my homemade basket. I'll get down in there and haul up a couple more of these. I'm gonna go ahead and haul this up before I stop and talk to you guys again. But after I get these cracks filled in, we'll go ahead and take an aerial type shot of the structure, I suppose. We'll try to do that, and so you guys can get sort of a downward look at the floor, so you can kind of see how it turned out. And then we'll sit down and talk for a little bit more, and then probably be wrapping it up, because I still got to film regular video today after the live stream. So that video is just going to be basically a recap of what we did here and what we got coming up in the next live stream. It's not going to be next week's episode. It's going to be just a kind of a quick clip of what we got coming up next on the channel now that we all hung out and did this together. So I do have to get that filmed, and then yeah, I'll be heading home. What time we got? Yeah, it's already 5 o'clock, so it's going to start getting dark here pretty quick, which I don't mind. I already have my light with me if I want to hang out after dark for a while and keep working. But yeah, I'll go ahead and take my homemade Bushcraft basket down there, give me a couple more loads of stone. We'll get this thing wrapped up. Her movement up in the woods. Something don't sound right. I got some up on the top of the ridge behind the camp. Like trying to distinguish the sound over top of the creek. Hear something rustling through the leaves. I don't know if it's a deer or a squirrel. Whatever's up there is making a hell of a racket though. It caught my ear when I was walking down the hill there. So I came back up here to take a better listen. But something's up there walking along the top of the ridge. I just can't see it. Anyway, back to work. Oh, what I really need is a good hard rain. But this is exactly why now we're froze up again. This is exactly why I didn't want to have big gaps in here. Let me see if I can reset this, guys, one more time.